special about working with the bodhicitta is that at first it might look like you are prioritizing others so much that you might be forgotten in your deed. Like you focus everything on thinking about others and wanting to help others, and that, it's happening with you in the meantime. But in reality, the more you do this, the more your ego clinging is reduced. And as it is reduced more and more, then automatically that is at the same time both good for you and good for others. So it accomplishes a dual purpose of being good for others, good for yourself.
I think Sanjab sent the woman the Lord John to them and Muxak Chichuke, young Yenam, the name Chichu Chepti, Kapti woman.
So the actual meditation that is given in this text for developing bodhicitta is the specificity of this text. You don't find that anywhere else. It belongs to that text to have found this particular way of helping to develop bodhicitta.
Then in Lakwartunde, Sanjab sends the here Nandra, Ranga Tunandra, Sanjam Jod Senti Nandra, Sanjab sends the Tani Gona, Tim Hulna. Another specificity of this practice is that really before we are truly able to practice this bodhicitta, or before we can teach it to others, or even really study in depth, there has to be a good accumulation of merit before we embark upon it. That's Georgie, Sanjab sent the Domba, Sana, Sanjab sent Chuhib and also Chuba Hyom Sonori, Chuba Lenji Hyam, Rim, Market, Yang Hyam, Yang Rim was a market, Lema Sobi, Chuba Hyam, they pay Chuba the bed, Puya, Puzama, Good Lepa, then the Yayo Judge, Meba. John Mama, Puka Yoba, be the man, made eat gun, lie to give a lot in Chupa, Puta, Puzama, John Mama, in Chupa Hiam, the Yo Garden Academy, not to teach you. Miss Archie sent you, woman, so I'm the short minutes Archie sent you, Yoga, them district, Yankee, so is Arcona.
A very important aspect of this practice is that we must really gather a lot of merit before we can properly develop bodhicitta inside ourselves. That is why the offerings that are made when one does this practice are so important. And it is said that when Atisha was giving that particular teaching, he insisted that the offerings had to be absolutely perfect, perfectly aligned, perfectly put together, excellent quality, and very plentiful. And it seems that he had them redone 3 times so that they would be absolutely perfect. They did them once and that wasn't good enough, so they had to redo the 2nd time. Again, that wasn't good enough, and it's only when it was perfectly arranged, plentiful, beautiful, best quality that he said, no, that's fine. Because this is part of what prepares the mind for this care that one puts into the offerings. This is part of what helps the mind to develop more merit so that it can really get into the bodhicitta properly.
You dinandana gola lamananjeta taning walk along mabate jola suksa yenandambate kamchi dinan rogo so.
So it is said that whenever one does this practice, there's a certain order to respect. First of all, one starts with the Guru Yoga, then one does the Tonglen visualization and meditation, and then after that there has to be definitely a 7th branch prayer.
Natsu Puni Juba Yamdu Juba Jexek, Dong Chu Sek. Dong Chu Sem, Doma Dong, Marme Dong, Bu Dong, then the Meadow Dong, Dong Dong Sharing of the Chinese and the Latin,
And to give you an idea of what the offerings are like, in Tibet, when they dance on whenever they do this practice, then for each category of offerings, it's not 1 or 2, but 1,000. So 1,000 battle lamps, 1,000 flowers, 1,000 of each kind of offering. So if one really manages to make very perfect offerings like this, it really helps tremendously to gather more merit. And when there's a good ground of merit, then compassion and voidness arise spontaneously. So after the visualization, meditation and visualization of Tonglen, one has to do the 7 branch prayer.
Senti mantra lang chi ko yin maden da yan re gom ne abo mala gom phala gom tola gom chola gom remji rang ye la gom ni do pa na don han ta re mi nya wa ya da to la gom ni ma la ma che ja chi ni ka de senti pa remji gom te la chi ta de so te la chi ta de o de
Something that can make the visualization a little easier when you practice this is you have to imagine in front of you all beings. So this sounds like really daunting because how do you imagine absolutely all beings? So it's easier to start with one. You start with your mother, your father, and the people really close to you, then people, your friends. Then you just widen the circle more and more and more until you include beings from the other levels of samsara and just as many as you can imagine after that, limitlessly.
Zala sukza make pena wo lo sukza mo so ken ro de ani tani de la tam le tam mo pa ke tani ji mo pa de ja ni so lo jong ke so ken ro.
There are many different means to train the mind, but this particular method of Tonglen is said to be like the central post that holds the whole building, or the altar that irrigates our whole body. It's really like the mainstay of all the practices to change the mind, to transform the mind, to train the mind.